Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside Podcast, brought to you by the Office of Public Information, where we are sharing stories about the bright side of education.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. I'm your host, the proud superintendent of the Sunnyside Unified School District, Jose Gastelum. And this month, we have been celebrating our students. So it's my favorite kind of interview because we just get to tell the stories of the success stories of our students. And so today we have the valedictorian of 2025 of Sunnyside High School, and her name is Ximena Balmaceda. So welcome, Ximena. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good?
Yeah.
Are you feeling like relief because you're counting down the last couple days here, right?
I feel like it's more stress trying to get the speech out and making sure it's actually what I want to say. But.
Okay, so you're thinking about speech. You're not even thinking about the days winding down. You're thinking about graduation and that big speech that you got to give in front of about 10,000 people. Not to put any more pressure on you, but there'll be a few thousand people there. And not to mention, we have a brand new scoreboard there at Sunnyside. Yep. So it's going to be lit up pretty nice and a brand new sound system. So how exciting, though. I think, I was looking back, I'm attending a bunch of ceremonies right now, promotions. Last night, a little shout out to Summit View Elementary School. We had the 6th grade promotion last night. They had a beautiful ceremony. I've been at a couple middle school ceremonies, and we got graduations coming up, high school graduations. And so, it really wraps up the year, right? As you're ending the year, a lot of emotions, I'm exhausted, just being at these ceremonies, congratulating our students, and just a bunch of emotions that individuals are going through. And it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. These are great emotions. People are super happy. Our parents are very happy. Our teachers and our support staff are very happy for our students. And so it's that time of year where we're celebrating. And this is huge. I mean, you are the top student at Sunnyside High School. I know there's probably over 400 and some seniors there.
475 graduating from
475 seniors. And you're number one. I was going to say top dog, but I didn't want to be disrespectful, but you're the top. You're number one. So how does that feel? Tell me how it feels.
Something I wasn't really expecting to do, especially growing up. I just expected I'm going to get my work done. I'm going to focus on school. And then my counselor, Miss Cambodia, pulled me in for our first meeting back in my freshman year. And she told me, you're top 5. If you want, you can easily take over the number 1 spot by the end of your sophomore year. And that's exactly what happened midway through my sophomore year. She pulled me in again, but this time it was for course registration. And she didn't let me see my transcripts beforehand, not until I had to leave. And she's like, congratulations. And then I look at the rank, and it said number 1. And I had 2 of my friends waiting with me since we had to make it up since we both missed that day. And they knew that it could happen. Yeah. And then they saw it and they're like, oh my gosh, you actually did it.
It was game on from there, huh? Yeah. Because that's a lot of pressure to live with, right? I mean, when you look at, you're a sophomore, you're probably 14, 15 years old, and they're like, hey, you know what? By the way, you're number 1. No pressure. Don't screw it up. Hang on to it. Right? And so I'm sure, it's on your mind a little bit, year to year, because this is a process that gets competitive. And I don't want to go down rabbit holes here with the whole process of chasing the Sweet 16 and chasing, valedictorian. But, I think what we can all agree on is that you're a top student, and there's many students that compete, and there's many students that are deserving, but sometimes it's just always based on that final GPA, right? And so, but not to take anything away from you, because you deserve everything that's come your way, and I'm sure it's a big relief now that we're coming to the very end here. So,
yeah, I mean, a lot of people would always ask, like, who's number 1? Mm-hmm. And I'm not the kind of person who likes to brag about what I do, or like a lot of my friends will tell you this. I'm not the kind of person to put myself out there and be like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They would like be subtle about it and like hint at people that, hey, she's number one or whatever. And then I'd be like, can you not?
You didn't want the attention, huh?
No.
You can tell you're a very humble person. I can tell just by your demeanor that you're very calm, humble, and you don't want attention coming your way. Man, I think if I held the number, I think I'd be wearing it. I think I'd be bragging. I'd be walking up and down that campus and like, yeah, look at me, right? I mean, you guys want some of this, and so, but it's the thing is now you got bragging rights the rest of your life, right? So, we're looking back, you're gonna say, yeah, I was valedictorian 2025. It wasn't that big of a deal, right? But it is. It's a huge deal. You're graduating with these GPAs always blow my mind. A 4.61 GPA, which is pretty much beyond perfect when it comes to taking classes, kind of just means that you probably never had a B in your high school career.
I had
or did you?
I had one B.
You had one, huh? But it probably wasn't part of the Sweet 16 then.
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was?
It was physics.
Okay, all right. So you are human. You do get B's here and there, right? Man, I was happy with just passing that. Yes, I passed. And you're over here just acing everything. So what are the big plans? Let's just get to it. I think before you tell us where you're going to college and all that stuff, let's talk about your journey a little bit. Let's talk about preschool, elementary, middle, high school. Like, how did that all go for you? When did you know? I'm always curious to know the answer to, like, when did you know you were like a great student? When did you know that you just had it, right? Or did you have to work for it? Because there's some students I know, and I hate. It's not like a narcissist here talking about myself, but I felt like I had to work hard for it. Like, I had to study, I had to work hard, I had to keep track of things. I was the type that did the math and said, all right, I better make sure I turn in all these homework assignments and get 100%, because if I don't do well on the test, I still managed to get a decent grade, right? And so some of us got to work hard. Some of us lack the confidence sometimes, but I want our listeners to hear your journey and your story. I mean, I do believe that it comes down to work ethic, but there's also study habits and skill sets that people have. So tell us a bit about that.
So preschool, I only did second semester.
Okay.
El Cotillo, and then I went on to Rivera, which is where I feel like my parents started pushing the idea more of you need to focus on school. That should be your main priority, because a lot of times it'd be you need to do your homework like before anything else, things like that.
So
like
they
you can
instilled in you discipline, like, hey, stay on top of your grades, stay on top of your homework. Okay. So big shout out to your parents for keeping you on track.
I feel like it's also because we had my sister still living with us. When I started school, she was a student at Sunnyside, and I saw her struggle a bit with her academics and things like that. So I feel like my parents learned from seeing her and kind of struggling with those study habits. They decided to instill those in me. And even in school, the kids, like, I'd always be labeled as the smart girl. It's like anytime teachers needed someone to like explain things, like it'd be me.
You're like the second teacher in the classroom.
Yeah.
Ximena, can you please? I already taught this. Can you please teach the rest of the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think being a teacher in the past, I mean, we all had those students, right?
Yeah.
And so go on. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So it was pretty much that way, and then I started struggling a little bit, like in third grade, I want to say. I don't know what happened, but I kind of dissociated from everything at that time. Just kind of didn't feel like myself, and then like academically I would do it, but like I wouldn't have the same feelings towards it. But I still kept doing what I was doing, and then I got to, well, let me take it back for a second. I was in the SUM program since kindergarten, so from a young age I was told, you're one of the smarter kids, you're one of the more brighter kids. And my teachers always told my parents, like, she needs to do the best she can, because I see something in her that if you let it wear out, it's...
So keeping you motivated. So obviously you were in the gifted program, our SUN program. And, teachers saw something special in you, so they were trying to get the tap into your strengths, right? The tap into your potential, and so you were at Rivera, and then from there you went on to
Lauffer, which is my son teacher's actually the reason why I got put into Lauffer, because she recommended it. She said this will help her stay ahead and advance even more than she ever would anywhere else. So I did open enrollment over there, spent a couple years there, which were mainly COVID years. Not the most ideal situation, but got through it.
Difficult times, huh?
And then I came to Sunnyside, all honors, took every AP class I could, and I ended up being number one without actually trying to be number one.
Okay.
So.
Easier said than done, right? Right. I didn't really want to be number one, but it just, fell on my lap, right? I mean, but you challenged yourself, right? I mean, I think when part of being number one is taking the most rigorous courses, and it sounds like you've done that through your all your academic years here in Sunnyside, and you're a Sunnyside product, and that's the sweet thing too. You've come through the system. Again, shout out to Ocotillo at Rivera. Who's your principal at Rivera?
It was Ms. Gomez, but currently it's Mr. Carbajal. Okay,
gotcha. And he was working there at the time as well, and then you went on to middle school at Billy Lane Lauffer, and who was your principal there?
Mr.
Belisario, and then you went on to Sunnyside High School, right?
And started off with Mr. Torres, and then we moved on to Ms. Ponce.
Okay, all right. So any shout outs to teachers, anybody that really helped you along the way? I think, I think looking back, anybody that's had success always looks back and said, man, if it wasn't for this teacher or this coach or this music teacher or this club, right? We look back and say, man, they were just awesome. They really helped me with my confidence, or they shaped who I am today. Anybody along the way that really helped you?
Oh gosh. Well, first and second grade, I want to say Miss Sassy, because she was like a second mother to me. She took care of me. She helped me get out of my shell a bit more. Fifth and fourth, I want to say Miss Orquiles, because she helped me understand math a lot better. She kind of started this cycle where I just started learning math, and I just kept going from there. I progressed quickly. Then Ms. Orte too, she was like another maternal figure during that time. And then Mr. Shiloh, Ms. Grijalva, again, very close to me from sixth grade. Ms. Grijalva, again, was my math teacher. Mr. Shiloh was just very close with...
I'm seeing a trend here. Math might be your favorite subject here.
Mr. Shiloh was very close to my family and just things like that. And Lauffer, I want to thank Miss Nichols.
Yeah, Miss Nichols is... I'm seeing a trend here. Miss Nichols students have been on the show here.
Yeah. She's done a lot of things for both my brother and I. We both went through the Future City program. She introduced me to a lot more STEM-based material, so I have to thank her for that. Miss Miller, who's actually my biotech teacher now, but she was originally my 8th grade math teacher. Science, 8th grade science teacher. She's been there for me for such a long time. I want to say Miss Coates for Green STEM and allowing me an opportunity to stay close, and Miss Street for Writing Center.
So a lot of people to thank, right?
A lot. And I think I'm missing a few people.
And so a lot of teachers that had such a positive impact and influence on your success. And so, it's nice for them to hear that. I mean, teachers and support staff really appreciate, their names being mentioned. And I know the hard part is you might have forgot one or two, but deep down inside, they know your relationship and how they've impacted you. So thanks for doing that. I know it's hard to think of people, but in a way where you don't want to miss, right? It's hard because you don't want to miss somebody, but I know it feels good to them. And so a big shout out to them. And we're going to continue on with this interview, but we're going to go to a quick break. So listeners, hang on. We will be right back.
You will love Sunnyside Unified School District. Your child can thrive from pre-K to high school. We empower students with top-tier academics, innovative programs, and a strong community. Our graduates go on to do big things like earning prestigious scholarships and becoming college, career, and community ready. Don't believe us? Just watch. Enroll today at susd12.org.
All right, we are back with Ximena Balmaceda, valedictorian from Sunnyside High School, class of 2025. And so, we've just been talking a little bit about your journey. We've talked about, where you went to school, talked a little bit about your family, what motivated you. And I think what people want to hear is where you're going to school. I understand that you have approximately $60,000 in scholarships, which is awesome because it's going to really help you out when it comes to, the financial side of college, right? I mean, college costs money, and I'm sure your parents are super relieved that you've earned some scholarships here that are going to put you through school. And so tell us where you're going to college. Where are you going to college? What are you going to study? And why did you choose that college?
I'm going to be attending U of A in the fall for microbiology. For the longest time, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. If you asked me when I was younger, my answers would bounce around every single time. It would never be the same thing twice. And then working as a camp counselor, I want to say summer before junior year, we took a field trip to Banner Hospital, and we got to visit a lot of the labs and see what they did and talk to some of the people who would work there. And the head of the lab actually said that he got a degree in microbiology. So that's what got me interested into the field. And I saw that a lot of the work was similar to what I'd been doing in my biology and biotech classes. Mm-hmm. And those were, I liked a lot of the hands-on aspects of those classes. And I figured I'd be able to do that through.
So your major is going to be microbiology, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
All right. So microbiology. So what kind of work? Once you graduate from college, you get that microbiology major. What do you want to dedicate your life to? What do you want to dedicate your career to?
I was thinking of doing research because I do have experience of doing research projects like through the SARSF. I've done 4 years now, on and off. But I've always enjoyed the experiences each time, especially since it gives me the opportunity to take interest in a issue or a question that I may have and look for the answers myself rather than looking it up online or going through a book. It's just a nice hands-on way for me to learn more about the world and to be able to understand it from my perspective.
Got it. I think the other really neat thing about your situation is you're a first generation, college going student, and here in your family, you're going to, first generation college going graduate, you're going to be here in the next several years. And so that's so crucial. That's really just changes generations, changes, the trajectory of generations. And so, those that come after you, there's an expectation now, right? That, hey, I was valedictorian. I went to U of A. I'm going to graduate from U of A. I got over $60,000 in scholarships. And so it's so positive for your family. It's so positive for our community and Sunnyside High School. And so, looking back, at all the success you've had, is there any regrets, anything you would change, anything you would do differently, or did you feel your experience was a positive one?
I feel like I made the best of my experience. I don't think there's anything I would change, including the hardships. They're what got me to this point, and I feel like I wouldn't have ended up in the position I am today without having to grow from those experiences and having the support that I did have behind me is also what pushed me.
Elaborate on that. I love where you're going with that, because although you've had all the success, you've had hardships, right? You've had challenges, you've had difficult times, but tell me a little bit more about, this piece of perseverance. And what you learned from failures, right?
Yeah. So growing up, I found everything to be pretty much easy. And then as I started getting older, I learned that not everything's going to be easy for me. Not everything's going to come naturally. I'm not going to get everything right on the first try. So I think part of it was just learning to learn from your failures. And I would say not only academically, but personally, because I have had mental health struggles, and I have had moments where I just don't want to work, or I just don't have the energy to do anything school related. I just want to lay in bed and like stay in my room. But one time I got to the point where I had to get myself out of bed and like understand that I need to keep going. Life isn't going to stop. I need to get back to work. And
I appreciate your vulnerability, just kind of putting that out there, because, there's a lot of students out there that struggle a little bit with mental health, right? And mental health isn't, I hope students don't look at it as a victim thing or a thing that's embarrassed to talk about. I think most importantly is it's real. It's real, and there's ways to deal with it. There's resources. There's people to lean on, and so how did you motivate yourself to get through those difficult times when you had those mental health challenges?
Well, for a lot of time I was in denial about it, and I would refuse to talk to anyone about any of it. And then once I got to middle school, I thought I need to talk to someone about this, especially
it was during pandemic time.
It was during pandemic, so I had even less contact with people than usual. And I feel like when the world just stopped, it gave me the opportunity to just reflect on myself and where I'm at. So I started talking with friends and like opening up about what I was going through. And I started working out too for a while, just to give myself something to do and something to look forward to every day. And even now I feel like I still have to keep reminding myself that it's okay to talk to people about these things. Like, absolutely. Even if you aren't as bad as you used to be, right, you don't want to get back to that place. So just
you're not alone. So to the listeners out there, if you are feeling like that, feeling down, mental health, challenges that you may have, there's people that want to help you. There's people out there that will help you. And so make sure that, you are sharing, being part of it is being vulnerable. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to admit that, you're going through a situation, right? But, there definitely is light at the end of the tunnel, and you're just proof, Ximena, that, people can get through those struggles. We have amazing staff here at Sunnyside, not only Sunnyside High School, but throughout the whole district, where you have counselors, we have mental health workers, we have social workers, we have teachers. People, educators that deeply care about kids, right? And so, we got to make sure that, we are addressing those needs. And so what is your message to students as you're leaving high school, wrapping up, graduating as a valedictorian? What is your message to those students, out there that are up and coming to high school, that are going to middle school, or just in general? What is your message to students?
Just want to say, first of all, it's okay not to know what you're doing. I have just barely in this recent school year finalized what I actually want to do. It could take a while. It's okay even if you go to into the real world and you don't really know what you want to do. You'll figure it out. You'll find your passion. You'll find what brings you joy. And I also just want to say that no matter how hard things can get, it'll all shift itself out at the end of the day.
It'll work itself out, right? You just got to keep trying, right? And so I love that. I love that. You're talking about resiliency, and times will get tough, but you also got to be willing to take risk, right? You got to put yourself out there, because if you never try it, you'll never know. You'll never know what the result will be. And so, for those students that are coming to high school, I always say get involved, get connected with your school in some way. For you, it was the STEM track, taking some biotech courses. And so it's different for everyone, right? Everybody has different tracks. But I love the word you said, follow your passion. What is your passion? And I always believe that, purpose and passion go together, right? And so, who knows? You may be the valedictorian, for those students that are listening to this. And so, as I'm sure you thought a lot about graduation, as you mentioned it earlier, you're thinking about your speech. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on graduation? What are your thoughts on doing the speech when you were told, hey, you got to do a speech? What came to mind, and what message do you want to put out there? Or is it a big secret?
I've been told I have to keep it a secret by Ponce, so.
Okay, all right. So what were your thoughts? You don't have to tell us about your speech, but when you were told, hey, you're valedictorian, by the way, you got to give a speech as well. What were your first thoughts?
My first thoughts were, I don't want to make it about me. I don't want the focus to be on me. I want the focus to be on us as a class. I want us to all be able to reflect on how we've gotten there and just be able to enjoy the moment. And even though me and a select few other students are the ones speaking, it's all of our night. It's not just us.
Absolutely. Very selfless comments there, right? It's not about me. And it just shows your true character, Ximena. You have a bright future. I can't tell you how proud we are of you. And I think there's something special about being a Sunnyside graduate. There's something special about being a Blue Devil graduate. Looking back, and I'm class of 92, by the way. I love the saying, and I use it every graduation, is once a Blue Devil, always a Blue Devil, right? And so, you continue to build on that legacy, that tradition of Blue Devil graduates, and you have, there's a lot to be excited about, and I think you can walk away knowing that you've earned everything that's come your way, and don't let anybody ever tell you didn't earn it, or ever tell you can't do something, because that's what people from the Sunnyside community do. They prove people wrong. They're resilient, and they're proud of where they come from, and they always represent their communities well, and that's what we expect of you. Any last comments? Any comments to your parents, to family, or anybody special out there that you want to say something to?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported me. If I name you all, we're going to be here forever, but I just want to say thank you for being there for me. Thank you for helping me whenever the struggles occurred, or just setting me up to be who I am today.
All right, and who you will be in the future as well, right? Absolutely. So that's it, folks. That wraps up this episode of Somos Sunnyside. A big congratulations to Ximena Balmaceda, the 2025 valedictorian of Sunnyside High School, and a big congratulations to all the other graduates from Sunnyside High School, Desert View High School, Star Academic High School, and big congratulations to the familias, right? The families. We can't wait to see you out there as we celebrate graduations. Let's bring some big crowds. Let's be safe, but let's celebrate. Let's celebrate the accomplishments of our students. It's well deserved. We can't wait to highlight them and have beautiful ceremonies for our community and for our families. So with that, hasta la próxima. That wraps up this episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.